have this library. But I also believe that as such, if we can't maintain that, I mean, it really kind of makes it that people don't want to look favorably to move to a community when you don't have those kinds of services.
Well, I liked what Carl said about we can't just go, okay, this is what librarians, or what the industry says is the standard or what you should have. I thought that what we, the tours that we did and the analysis that we did of likelihood it won't work here. I think that that is really important, and of course that's just the opinion of us seven. But I think that people need to know that we've thought about that. People need to know that we're trying to make it appropriate for this community. We're not trying to be Lunenburg. We're not trying to be Arlington Heights. We're paying attention to what this community wants and needs, and we're trying to do that so that hopefully they'll honor that by saying yes, go ahead.
And that's exactly why a community task force, I believe, is a key element in the development of the plan from the ground up. That we don't put together a plan
And say here.
kind of insular
Right.
and present it to our community task force and say, do you like it? Rather, give them a lot more say in that development to make sure that this is the right plan for Plainfield.
But that's why they need a lot of information. And that will fall upon,
Well, and those people that are involved in that have to be willing to give that time commitment to learn all of
Certainly.
that. That's a big step there.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons that getting the experts on board early to help us make sure that we have all of the right information to present to our citizens committee is important. To have not only your library building consultant and maybe an architect, but to also have your public finance people on early, and perhaps, and especially in this climate, an owner's representative or someone who can really help us make sure that we're in the value engineering mindset from the very beginning of the process.
And at this point, you have all you can do to keep this going, and you cannot be a construction manager. I mean, truly,
Right,
that's,
right.
I think you have to be wise, and we need to be wise in our choices of how we proceed with this.
And I think another thing that's got to kind of keep going on as board members is we need to keep our feelers out in the community and the places in which we interact to look for supporters and to look for additional ways to network or combine services. Just off the top of my head now, I'm thinking of the fact that ever since I've been going to the coffee with the mayor, there have been issues with the Pace bus and where do people park? And, is there something in which we could touch on? I mean, if we look at a branch location, is that an area of crossover where we could sell, more support for, hey, look at what else we can do with this. We could be a spot for that. I also had somebody approach me at the last meeting who's part of kind of a new movement that I am just a little bit aware of, that is crafters. People who are doing woodworking or 3D printing, things like that, and they're looking for spaces, within existing organizations.
And if we could be that.
And if we could be that, then again, that's another whole new source of interest and usability that's not currently being tapped. So we've got to continue to have those conversations.
And be listening and watch.
Right.
Samantha, anything you taking in
I
here?
really like your idea of the Pace bus.
Well,
My dad's been taking the bus lately, and
Oh, yeah?
yeah, because he's going to Chicago, and it's really crazy to find those people.
Oh, it's amazing when you go over to the Village Hall and you just look
Yeah.
down.
And particularly if we're going to be looking at a site where perhaps we start with a smaller sized branch on a piece of property that could accommodate a larger building.
Right.
It may be an opportunity to build the parking lot that would theoretically serve a larger building
Mhm.
and have it be the pace bus stop in the morning.
Right.
But those kind of connections is what you really.
Yeah, and even if it's not that one, but those
Those kind of
kinds of
things
things
that
where,
we need
you know, we're looking at other governmental or, you know, nonprofit opportunities
All those connections.
to expand. I mean, there was supposed to be a dinner theater that was opening a while ago, and nothing's happened with that now, you know? Is there an opportunity for
And that's-
a shared auditorium space that would be, you know, open to, so that they don't have to have their own,
That's right.
but they and a dance academy and, you know, somebody else could make use of a shared facility like that. And even if we make it part of the plan that that's a revenue producer and some, you know, a nominal fee, but still a shared expense rather than something that is solely a burden of the taxpayer through our expansion.
Vicki, anything that you are thinking about as we're doing all this talking?
Well, I know that the park district, or the township bought that community center
Yeah.
for the people.
Yeah.
Community Valley's partners
So
and
those types of things. I mean,
this board is in there every time, and
yeah.
they're always looking for space.
So just all of the big.
I think that's, isn't that on there somewhere?
It is on there somewhere. It's the whole connections thing. And we've already seen where some of those are, and there are even more possibilities out there for us. The townships with their additional charges to have the additional things for seniors, for disabled people, for youth. Those are great opportunities for partnerships. The park district, as far as the recreation and entertainment side. So, yeah, we could.
Are we also in a position to open the door for people to perhaps consider estate planning, donating land, as was the original basis for this library?
We're always there.
Well, I just
Yeah.
wonder whether
Yeah.
that's still an
A
area
part of that whole-
a part of that whole process.
And if nobody knows that there is a desire to expand, then why would there necessarily be
Right.
that thought? So yes, we need to cultivate that.
Crystal, what are you thinking about?
You got lots of flags.
You're in estate planning?
That would take a while. They don't plan to.
That was not a direct follow-up. Just so that's clear, right? That was not intended.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and do you remember
I was
when the
thinking
library
something
was
we don't even know about.
when the
Right.
library was a beneficiary of land in a charitable remainder trust, because of the way this trust was structured, it was 12 or 14 years from the time that the individual actually passed until that the first, until the trust ended and it actually came to the library. And, yeah, it was quite a bit. So, you know, even if someone leaves you land, it might not be leaving you land today. Leaving you future land.
Well, there have been deals recently, have there not, between entities, District 202 and was it the Y?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
somehow
Yeah.
there could be perhaps
Well, and if
at
you,
least exploration of what might be available.
if you look back at the joint branch facility, right when it was coming to the end and we were talking about possible branch sites for the library in that 2009 referendum, one of the things that occurred was that the District 202 administration approached the library about the possibility of utilizing a piece of land owned by the school district for our branch site.
They were thinking they weren't going to need it.
They were thinking they weren't going to need that property, but their board was very concerned about if they sold the property, what would be put there, adjacent to their school. And really felt that, you know, a branch library, oh, let's have a branch, that's a good idea, let's do that. So,
As opposed to
yeah.
a strip mall.
Exactly.
Or a strip joint.
It's a way to-
No, I said strip mall.
It's a way for them to control their environment.
It must be the
Absolutely.
anesthesia, Sharon.
And to make it an incentive by giving a good price, not having to worry about getting a realtor involved.
Right.
Yeah. So, there are many, many possibilities.
So how are you doing on all of these?
I'm excited to get started and find out, you know, what is the need, what is the interest, what is the tolerance, what are we looking at doing, but doing it.
Well, I know when people have mentioned, we seem to have everything
Right
so
here.
well managed. You know, it's, everything is right here, we
That
don't
actually
need to.
did, that occurred to me when I was reading some of this other background information with the space planning and stuff, and all the negative comments from the past, after the failed referendum. I thought, you know, maybe we need to offer tours. Maybe that's what we really need to do, to show how everyone is on top of each other and everything.
And that
is-
scheduling is.
Yeah, and everything is just, you know, so tightly packed in here, and it's really not conducive anymore to the types of programming that.
Maybe we've made it look too
libraries-
easy, that this
Right.
staff,
Well,
this wonderful
it's
staff.
well
That's what I'm
managed.
wondering.
We've got a really good
If-
facade.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I
And
just
people need to
remember,
see
I remember
behind
when I
it.
first became a trustee and Julie took me on a tour of the whole entire building, even the guts of the building, places where people don't normally go. And you see, like, even storage down in the guts, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, we put this here and it's just like 6 inches away from being a fire hazard, you know?
Yeah.
And
growing.
you know, right, exactly, and we're completely to capacity, we're completely to the limit. And so, yeah, I wonder if we have made it look too good, if we have made it too easy, and maybe some people need to see the guts.
Yeah, I
Need
think
to
Pat
see
has
the stuff.
sung that song before too, that
Yes.
we're too good. I mean, this, and I'm looking at all the people sitting out there too that have a part in this. You're
Yeah.
too good, you know, you just really present a wonderful program. Yeah, you are. And
Veronica and I had a conversation the other day about the youth services AV materials and the space for the youth services AV materials, and how we're really at the get rid of one for every one you bring in, and looking at really kind of crazy. She's got some other packaging ideas to package DVDs in narrower things so we can get just a few more onto the same shelves. Those are the kinds of crazy accommodations that, you know, we're gonna spend hundreds of dollars to repackage all those DVDs, probably thousands, and
And
just
how many
to buy us
hours?
one more, just to buy
Out
us
of each
one more year of collection development, maybe.
Well, and you know, a lot of college libraries do off-site collection, you know, where if you want something, you have to request it and give us a day or two to go to the warehouse and pull it.
Tell them to-
Well,
Right.
there are
It's gonna-
libraries in the suburbs that have gone, before doing an expansion plan, that have gone to the compact shelving, where you turn the big crank or push the button and they all stack together and there's only one aisle in all of this row.
Well, I was gonna
Most of
say,
them have one
and
in
even if
themselves.
we, you know, even if we do a referendum in 2016, like they're saying, it's gonna take, you
all
know,
that time.
buildings are not instantaneously built, you know, it
Right.
takes time to put that together, and there probably will be a warehouse space to this whole thing.
Potentially a couple of them for different areas.
Right, yeah.
Well, anyone who's out in the community, like Miss Quinlan, for example, I assume that her trunk is full of stuff.
There's a
It's one place
reason.
to store things.
Maybe half the back seat too?
Yeah. There's a reason all of our outreach people have those little rolly suitcases and those little
Wagons.
like wagons and all sorts of fun conveyances, because they're taking so much stuff with them every time they go out.
And because there's not storage space here, I'm guessing some of it just lives there until the next trip.
Yeah.
And you know, living in this community, and this is the library that I come to, and I don't go to other libraries, I don't always think that I would recognize what are some of the things, until we went on the tour and I said,
Yeah.
why don't we have one of those neat signs that goes behind the desk? You know, that we can get, well, you can only put so much on there, but I saw a department which was tech services. And I thought, you know, in this century, we really need to have something that truly focuses on all of these tech services. And I saw this room that was devoted, and it was quite full, of people who truly were in there learning about, you know, different databases, different websites that they could utilize for small business or whatever. And I would probably not have put that together because I'm not 22, and I can do with what's at this library, because I don't have any young children, even grandchildren. But what about the rest of the community?
I was reading an article today in Public Libraries Magazine about the Free Library of Philadelphia, which is their public library, that has been doing what they call e-gadget hotspots. And what they do is they actually set up with a group of librarians a place to come and get help with your gadget, whatever it is. And we're going to be doing something similar in the kickoff of our winter reading, which will be not only come in and try out some new devices, you know, try out our tablets, our e-readers, etc., but bring in your device and get some help with it. And those are the kinds of niche services that libraries are really starting to find are the new norm for the public library, is those learning pieces and those hands-on pieces where you can get that support without having to go possibly through a formal class at the junior college or a seminar that you have to pay for.
Maybe in a half an hour with this, you know, just by having that one-on-one.
You know, I would really like you to repeat what you said your husband said. And you said it several months ago about the fire department and police department.
Oh, all of the wonderful buildings they have, you know, he said, it was really kind of made me open my eyes. He said, the fire stations, the fire departments are beautiful buildings, the police department has a beautiful building, the village has a beautiful building, and we have a building. And it's beautiful, but it's not very big, you know, and there's room in those buildings for many things. And I thought that is the question, isn't it?
And all the public schools.
Yes.
That we're really the last ones to come up to, you know, the 21st century.
Yeah, and it's really true. And why should it be us?
Because people don't know what a library can do for them. That
Well,
they put it on,
I
they
think
put it
too,
on a
it's-
place of importance.
We don't all wear uniforms and we're not publicly visible, so that when you go to the polling place, you go, oh yeah, I can vote for the fire protection district, I can vote for the police.
Well, but you remember.
It's not the same kind of
You remember the
impact.
concept of need, though, includes that, number one, people focus on safety, on security.
Right.
On education. What do we focus on?
See, the problem is we do all of it.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
But
We
you
don't
see,
do
no, but
one
we
part
don't
of it.
toot our own horn about it.
Yeah.
And that's why you crack your message.
And
Yes,
that's
yes.
exactly,
Ta-da,
and that comes
Crystal.
exactly
Yeah.
back
Exactly.
to why you do that polling that picks out what message resonates with your voters. Which pieces of what you're talking about really makes that response, gives them that visceral response of, yes, that's why. That's why. the library is really the heart of the community, that center, because it's the place where everybody can come, regardless of socioeconomics, regardless of race, creed, gender, anything. The library is truly public space. And one of the things that I think we need to use is that we are that heart and can be a source of community pride to really show this community, what this community values. Education, those cultural opportunities, and the support of helping people better their lives in whatever way, because that's what public libraries do. We offer opportunities for people to make their lives better.
Now, we know that.
I wonder if it would be instructive to put out a website poll or a Facebook poll. What would you miss if the library were not here? And see what kinds of responses we get. What are the things that have made such an impact on our patrons? That if we weren't here, they would go, you know what, I really would need that. I think those things could be some really good conversation starters. You know, not what do you want that we're not doing? Because they won't think of those things.
Yes.
But they will go, you know what? My kids would not have the love of reading that they now have had they not come to story time when they were, you know, toddlers.
Just to make people start thinking as that initial.
And actually, what we really need comes out not in the compliments that we get, but in the complaints. Because you see those deficiencies over
Right.
and over again, and it's the same things about not enough as far as collections, you know, not having enough books, not having access to things immediately, and quiet space.
Yeah.
Group
That's quiet,
study
yes.
space, and being able to accommodate a classroom instruction kind of a space. And those things have come up time and time and time again, and continue to be the number one reason that people complain about the library.
So you put your top 10 complaints out there.
Exactly.
And say, and we can change this by.
Like a David Letterman, you know, top 10
Yeah,
reasons
top
that you
10
need to
out
vote
there.
for
Yeah.
improvements at the
And
library.
they'd be all the complaints.
And
Right.
all the complaints.
But that
Those
means
loud
it's-
tutors will have their own study rooms and go tutor their
Exactly.
students. That cramped computer classroom will be large enough for all the students to actually see what the instructor is doing.
And the instructor to see all the students at one time.
Oh, shocking, you don't want to do that.
I would like a meeting room with Keaton.
Yes, that would be nice.
We thought we were getting there.
We all harassed Lance at the department head meeting yesterday afternoon, just, yes, about the
I'm
why
guessing
is,
he's aware.
yes.
Well. Where are we? What do we do next?
Vicki, no thoughts?
She's really taking this in, I
I
just
know.
think she really does.
Well, I think the committee needs to know that if we don't move forward, we're going to lose.
I think that's what I
What
think.
are the programs you said will come see stuff?
Is there
And
anything
not
that
a
you've
fear
encountered?
Not a fear tactic,
No,
an
no.
actual,
Right.
this is really action, we're not threatening.
I think there was a library, and I wanna say it was like 5 or 7 years ago, it was a while ago, that actually did that. They actually like kind of, as a joke, they kind of did like a marketing campaign and said, okay, we're gonna get rid of the library. And people finally realized, and people got really, really upset about it. And they, people got really, really upset about it. And then they realized, oh, it was really, they were asking for a new library.
Yeah, it
April
was
Fool's
a-
2015.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Where
the library won't
is
be open
closing its
today.
doors.
Yeah, closed permanently.
There not that people realize all the things the library does, so we need to cut that out.
Is there
Well,
anything that
and
you've run
those
across in
numbers that we-
conversations with any of the friends of the library that would touch on this, things that they wish or that they
Or
wish
they're not
we
aware of,
didn't,
maybe?
or, yeah. I mean, I know they tend to be the involved people as individuals as well as friends.
We'd like a space for.
Yeah.
class-
For doing things,
Extra classes and.
yeah.
things like that.
Well, and I think the fact that when we went to visit, we saw that many of them had their own book sale
Sale.
room and that kind of thing that, you know.
Not just outside the restrooms upstairs?
That you trip
On a rolling cart, yeah.
I remember making some calls though to people who probably are committed voters and who stated that as long as we now have the internet and I have a computer, I don't need the library. I don't need any library. And it's just an interesting way in which they view that we do nothing other than what's on the web. So we certainly need an educational process.
Craft the
there.
message.
Craft the
Yeah, craft the
message.
message.
So that's where
Well,
we are.
And the one thing that I think we have going for us on that is that ever since that one commercial with the, you believe everything you read on the internet?
Bonjour.
Yeah, bonjour, he's a French funnel.
Yeah.
On the internet, yeah. I think people are starting to get that, not everything you read on there is right. And really positioning the library as the, how you get some help to figure out what is the truth.
And I know that even in high schools, they are presenting a class to juniors that does a lot of internet searching and knowing what they're looking for, knowing what's
Oh,
relevant,
absolutely.
knowing what's, you know,
At the junior college
primary
level as
information,
well.
yeah. So and so it's moved down now, so
Yeah.
that's,
Oh, yeah.
those are all
Yeah.
good things to let them know that this is not your primary source of information.
Yeah, I've sort of lost touch with, school people in school. But I know that when I was in school, a lot of my teachers up through college, you know, if you have to write a paper, all of your sources you have to have a variety of sources. You have to have some books, some at least one encyclopedia, some periodicals, some internet. You had to have a balance. You couldn't just have one type.
Wikipedia.
Well, and these days, it's reminding them that there is a difference between the such and so's in online webpage about snakes to one of the online, the World Book online, which is your encyclopedia,
Or a
just in
database.
a digital form, or a database that has that kind of information, and that there is a qualitative difference.
And that's, I
in
know,
that
what they're really
information.
trying to stress is that difference.
And are there current things that likewise we don't enough maybe focus that we do? I mean, for example, certainly helping people with classes in the computer, but I mean, I was thinking that, I don't know any place that at this point helps enough people with identity theft, and what do you do? What's a process that's a part of that? How do you get through that, survive it? What resources are there? Are there things you can do on the internet? Do you go to the police department? What do you do when that happens? There's some brochures people have. But now we have so much of the hacking of so many different businesses, et cetera.
Well,
And,
that's really an idea for an adult program.
but
And
it's,
a lot of our adult programming comes from those sorts of things that are prevalent in our, you know,
Society.
what's in the news today.
Yeah.
So you'll probably
Right.
see one of those
that's what I was
coming
just
up,
thinking, in
because
terms
that's
of
exactly
relevance,
how
it has to be something
Therese
that we
develops
discuss.
those, you know, what's the next big idea.
Right.
You know, things like super couponing are gonna be there forever at this point, but, all those different hackers, now it's how do you deal with identity theft? One of the big ones that we had recently that had really excellent turnout was about, Social Security and Medicare, where we had a speaker come in, and that was very well received. So it's always evolving in what's the latest topics.
Well, I think that the message we have tonight is to craft the message